Motion passes.
Just to clarify, every vote needs to be roll call because
Okay, thank you. First up, we have a student school showcase.
Bring your chair and everything. Good evening, everyone. You're fine. I don't have a good side. See that? That's looking at you. And you're being projected all around the world through that camera right there, right now.
no pressure.
All right. Good evening, everyone. Patrick Bierman, Twin Bluff Middle School principal, and I'm joined tonight by 7th grade student Kylie Dahl. Kylie is here to talk about how one thing can become another, how we can have an essay contest, and how the winning of a contest can lead to lessons in life in civics, government, emergency services. She got a whole bunch of different experiences out of this. And I also need to read a proclamation from our mayor. He can't be here tonight because they had a work session between 5 and 6 and then a council meeting 6 and after. But he wanted to Kylie Dahl Day proclamation. Whereas in the city of Red Wing values the voices and ideas of its youth, recognizing that today's students are tomorrow's leaders, and whereas the city held a Mayor for a Day essay contest, inviting student residents to share their vision for Red Wing's future and how they would lead as mayor, and whereas Kylie Dahl's thoughtful and inspiring essay stood out amongst all entries, so showcasing creativity, leadership, and a strong commitment to community values, and whereas Kylie Dahl has demonstrated a remarkable understanding of civic responsibility and the power of positive change through local government, therefore, I, Gary Yacco, Mayor of City of Red Wing, do hereby proclaim, and he wrote today's date, but then he texted me a little bit earlier and said that he wants to read this over the school's intercom system on Wednesday. So he's actually going to make it a week-long celebration. I guess when you're mayor, you can do that kind of thing. But Kylie's now going to talk about her experiences and how one thing can lead to another, basically.
Mayor for a Day was really exciting, and I don't remember when the essay contest was, but I think it was in May. And a couple days into July, I think, because they had extended it, I think I was on the couch and I was doing laundry, and then I get a phone call, and my mom's like, "Kylie, here, it's for you." And I take her phone, and then I hear, "Hi, this is Gary Yacco. You're the winner of Mayor for a Day."
You've got a really good Yacco voice.
I was really shocked. And then throughout the entire summer up until August, I hadn't gotten a single email about it. And it turns out it was because my phone was acting up and I didn't get a single text, call, email, because my phone had just blocked out all unknown numbers. So I had to, I don't remember what I did, but we got it set up and we were doing the celebration a week before my birthday on September 8th. No, it wasn't a week before my birthday. September 8th, I think I went to a city council meeting. And then 10 days later, I got to ride in a fire truck and be on the radio. And that was really fun because I got a cupcake. It's from Hannes. I really liked their icing. It was really fun. And then for the next 2 weeks in the hallway, I kept hearing from all the 5th graders, "That's the mayor, that's the mayor." And it was really funny because I didn't even know who those kids were. I didn't know any of those kids. It was kind of embarrassing too. That's actually all I have to say about it. I don't really know. But
So in your experience working and going to the city council meeting, what was the difference between what your expectation was when you wrote your essay versus your experience? Was there much of a difference? Because you had put on there that you wanted to affect change in Red Wing in your essay. And then when you actually watched how things work, like a school board meeting, where everybody's got to vote, and there's specific rules we have to follow. Since one of the school board members is online, it has to be a roll call vote for everything. Did you get to experience stuff like that during your city council time?
Not, well, they did the I thing, but they didn't have to roll call it because no one was online. And I remember it was recorded. I mostly remember the hot tamales. The mayor said he said it was a tradition because every desk, it was like that. Every desk had a pile of like Mike and X or hot tamales. And I was very happy because I like hot tamales.
Food-driven being. But I just wanted to bring Kylie in because she represents what we do. I mean, she didn't have to submit an essay. She chose to do so. She's very descriptive. I never knew that you were on the couch doing laundry and that your phone was blocking everything out, which is another cool story. But the fact that our younger students are looking up to her, and like she said, it's kind of embarrassing because she's in 7th grade, but yet that's what's going to continue on, and she will be one of our leaders in our community in the future, in the not too far off future. So that's why I wanted to highlight Kylie tonight. Any questions from the board for us?
Do you think you inspired other kids to want to apply or write an essay next year? Have they said anything? If they want to be
No.
mayor? No?
I hope I did.
What grade are you?
7th,
7th grade. What's your favorite class?
art.
Art? Be interesting if we could get a copy of the essay to read it ourselves at some point, to see what your ideas are, because it's always great to learn other things from other people. That Mr. Bierman, is okay with you?
Oh,
Mr. Bierman could do it.
I am sure we can make that happen as long as you're okay with it.
Yeah.
I'll share it with the board.
It'll be interesting to see what it says. Thank you for coming before us this evening. Go ahead.
What was the most surprising thing you learned about how different departments in the city run? What surprised you about those opportunities?
That part didn't really surprise me actually, because I already knew all that stuff was going on. Like I already knew they all had to say aye to approve the agenda or something like that. And I already knew most of what was going to happen. But I was surprised about the hot tamales.
So what was your favorite? The Hanish cupcake, the tamales, or the Mike?
The Hannah's cupcake,
Yeah.
the s'mores.
All right, we have a certificate for you here, Kylie. Thank you very much for coming tonight.
Thank you so much. Good to meet you.
Congratulations.
And I will get the updated version and give it to you on Wednesday if that's okay. Thank you, board.
We're gonna take a picture with the board?
Oh, picture.
Let's give her a big hand.
And she also takes the best school photo.
Oh yeah, I dressed up as a nun.
That's the most excitement we've had you on. She is this quiet at home? Okay, understand.
Mr. Bierman?
Yes, sir.
Can we get a picture with the board chair and Kylie?
Certainly.
Oh, it's this one, all right, perfect, thank you.
Kylie, you have a second to take a picture?
Oh yeah.
You get in the middle. Do you have your certificate? Thank you, ma'am. Hold it.
You're welcome to stick around for the whole meeting, or if you want to skedaddle, you can do that. Thank you for coming in.
Thank you. All right, next up, we have public comment. I think just one tonight.
Per usual.
Can you make sure that everybody gets these, and also can I get a follow-up from you?
I've actually got a few things to talk about, so if you want to make it a meeting, Bob, that would be all right too.
Amber, before you start here, I'm just going to do the school board would like to provide interested community members an opportunity to provide appropriate public comment. And seriously consider all questions and concerns presented. But we follow protocols to ensure orderly operation of the meeting and the development of an appropriate response. Public may provide comment in person and sign up on arrival. The following guidelines will be followed during public comment. We expect the comments to be limited to 3 minutes per person, and that a representative be selected to speak on behalf of a group of individuals attending the meeting for the same topic. School board members will listen to the public comment but will not discuss the topic at the meeting. The superintendent and/or school board chair may provide a response outlining steps the school district has taken or will take to address the concerns. A summary of the school district's actions in response to public comment will be provided to the school board, individuals submitting public comment, and/or public at a later date as appropriate. Finally, we expect that comments remain respectful and appropriate and will not identify any current or former students, their families, or staff members by name. And go ahead, start with that.
I called the school to report that my child was sick, and a secretary called me back insisting that my child was in the office. In reality, they had mixed her up with another Black student, showing that brown children are interchangeable names and faces, not individuals. That same student's name later appeared on a bus report of my daughter's. I've always been told that the schools can't share another student's identifying information, but apparently when the students are both Black, these rules don't seem to apply. These girls both look nothing alike, yet they still can't seem to tell these two apart. Then a woman called in saying she had a feeling someone might bring a pew-pew to the schools. Many parents were not notified for hours. Some Black and Native students were targeted at Burnside and Twin Bluff Middle School. Stripped of their belongings, they were locked in rooms for hours while their parents stood outside begging to get in. My son, a junior at Tower View, spoke at a city council meeting about how it took nearly an hour for his school to lock down. That same son was bullied for over a month on the bus by Prairie View Elementary School kids, taunting him about his weight. When First Student finally reached out, they completely misrepresented what had happened. Then there's the woman at Colville, the lunch lady who publicly mocked students and parents, talking about kids who aren't potty trained, who use pacifiers, and saying they smell like marijuana while working in a building that serves special education preschoolers. She's still employed, but you knew that though. My daughter, who's both on a 504 and an IEP plan due to the trauma and bullying, was in a break room where two kids were spelling every version of the N-word that they could think of. It wasn't stopped until she spoke up. She's still being called racial slurs, even as I await the Department of Human Rights response to my complaint. And when my daughter went to the nurse's office crying for severe knee pain, staff called implying that my daughter was faking it. They had the audacity to laugh at a Black child's pain, and that's not new. Statistically and historically, Black children's pain is dismissed and minimized in medical settings. But 2 days later, my daughter was in surgery for septic arthritis caused by untreated Lyme disease that Red Wing Mayo ignored even after I requested her to be tested. That pattern happened right here in Red Wing, and administration refuses to address it or acknowledge its existence. When I raised concerns about employing a qualified individual to speak about racism, I was told, isn't it enough that the person just be nice? No, it's not. Racism isn't fixed by being nice. It takes education, qualified professionals, and accountability. I was also told that any concerns that I should have only go to the superintendent. I was told that they were told to refer any of their interactions with me directly to the superintendent. If that's not how every single parent is treated, that's discriminatory. It's a way to silence certain voices. Well, baby, you got the right game, but the wrong player, because I'm not the one. Minnesota is a one-party consent state. You all know that I document or record everything because I have to. There is racism prevalent in your schools, in the hospital, and in this very town. And while people act like I'm just up here ranting on another Monday night, I'm asking each person in this community, what part are you playing in all of this? Also, I oppose any person who thinks that we should look at a kid's genitals before we let them play sports. Thank you.
Thank you.
Oh, one thing.
Amber? We have just a second.
I have to get to the city council meeting.
So tomorrow. All right, next up is the recognitions of upcoming events. I know, this past weekend, and I just recognized this, the, middle school had Matilda. I was not able to make it, but by all accounts, it was fantastic. It was 3 showings. 3 showings.
Matilda Junior.
Matilda Junior, sorry.
I took my grandkids, they loved it.
All right.
It was great.
High school women's volleyball team is playing Pine Island tonight in probably an hour.
7:30.
7:30, hour and a half. So, we're in recognitions on playing events. I'll let you,
I mean, you kind of covered a lot of this. We have, Mr. Hartman said that there's 3 individuals that are on the state cross country. I don't remember their names, Nora Hanson, Owen Newton, they're probably in here.
Owen Redquist.
Ronquist and Bryn.
Yeah. I don't know Brent's last name. Off the top of my head. But anyway, we do have a lot of things that are going on. As far as the end of the season, as far as the fall sports are going, once we get to the administrative reports, I'll give you a little bit more information about that. Coming up on Monday, or not Monday, on Friday now, we've got a activity going on with this high school surrounding artificial intelligence. So there's a lot of work that's been going into that. Teachers have been working on that, so we hope that kids make the most of that. So lots of things that are, again, if you're bored, it's not because you're not looking.
Conferences tomorrow, Veterans Day, Friday, November 7th. Yep.
10 a.m.
There was a, can't remember her Hartman gal, girl was went to state, it was one of her first round match,
Lorelei.
and then was lost to an M1C, but that's quite an accomplishment.
Yep. So,
And I might be missing others that participated in state, whether it be whatever activities they're in, but that one I know I read about it, so.
That's girls tennis.
Yes, Mr. Hartman, I'll go over that. We've got an executive report.
Administrative reports.
So, the first thing here, we've got a finance update that we would, sorry. Okay, so with this, been plenty of things going on here, so we've got a Lakota author who was here, Jesse Bacon Alive Recontre, I believe is how her name is spelled, or pronounced, so in celebration of Indigenous Peoples' Day. Also at Sunnyside, they had a magician there, the Magic of Kindness. They've had all kinds of things that have just been going on, so Mr. Contre was here, at high school as well, and also at Twin Bluff Middle School. As you just started off with, we've had a number of kids that have been very active. So Kylie Moffett won the conference meet as the Big 9 diving champion. Lorelei Hartman qualified for the state Class A girls tennis tournament. Nora Hanson, Bryn Lawrence, and Owen Runquist qualified for the state cross country meet. I believe that takes place on Saturday. This year, so in the fall, there's 439 students who have been in some sort of activity. Just doing a little quick math on that, between 55 and 60% of the kids participate in some sort of fall extracurricular activity. So that's pretty good participation, and it's nice because there's something pretty much for all interests. It can be anything from if you're heavily involved in athletics, or if you're involved in things that are more along the arts line. There's a lot of opportunity for kids, and they take pretty good advantage of it. So those are the things tomorrow and tomorrow and Wednesday, out at Prairie Island, the Tribal Nations Education Committee is having a conference that's out there, so there'll be a few staff members who are going to be out there, myself included. Buildings and grounds, boilers, we've had a couple of boilers that were retubed, one at the high school and one over at Burnside. And having that up and done here now before winter is obviously very important. So those are kind of the primary things that I wanted to touch on.
Any further discussion on that?
So committee updates, we have the teacher negotiations meeting that's taking place. We have the Cooks Association, we've also had a preliminary meeting with them. Other than that, those are the primary ones that I can think about.
We had the finance meeting.
We had finance committee meeting was last Thursday. We had, and Chris Mueller is going to give an update on what we talked about there. Yep.
I did get elected to represent District 1 at the delegate assembly in December in Rochester, so we'll be meeting.
The delegate?
Yeah, not well, no, not, I mean, one of many.
So,
But we'll be that's where we talk about what resolutions we want to put forward in the legislative agenda
Congratulations.
for MSBA. So, thank you. Hopefully, that will help us move forward some of our resolutions, so.
Question that's retirement.
Well, my husband says I'd have to be gone for 2 weeks before he'd notice, so, you know, it's good to have me busy.
All right, no further conversation on that. We'll move on to the consent agenda.
so on the consent agenda, on number 3, the last person on there, Tasha King, special ed teacher, has rescinded her, she didn't take a job someplace else, so that will be coming off of the consent agenda.
I think I talked to Mr. Joshua today about number 3. One of the things in number 3, maybe we should have some information passed on to us about reconciliation benefits coordinator. So why don't you pull that one off for now until we have discussion.
Just that one, not the other.
Just one. We can just, we should approve the rest if you want to, and just we'll approve number 3 separately or something.
All right, so just as I'm trying to figure this out, so if that is the case, the individual would be scheduled to start relatively soon. How do we approach that?
I think we just have to have a conversation about it.
Yeah, we'll just
Okay.
talk about it after.
Okay,
We'll vote on it after. I'm not saying let's pull it off fully. I'm just
Okay,
saying,
that's what I,
yeah, we should have a conversation because I don't think we have one.
very good.
I'll make a motion to approve the consent agenda minus number 3.
All right, motion made by Ms. Tiff, seconded by Ms. Schoenfelder. We'll call vote, Therese,
Aye.
Rachel.
Aye.
Jennifer.
Aye.
Bob, Jim, sorry.
Okay, Kevin.
Aye. Kayla,
Aye.
Jeremy.
Aye.
I will also vote aye, resolution passes. All right.
So now we can have discussion.
Now we have a discussion on number 3.
Yeah, I just saw that and I talked to Bob this afternoon about it, and you should probably have a little idea what that's about and what was being done, if anything, before that, before Lisa Ryder was here. I know I went to talk to somebody that was doing it before, long before many of us are on this board, all of us. So just kind of curious, since it's a new position and never came before us as under personnel or anything else, so just curious as to conversation about that.
So in particular, the reconciliation and benefits coordinator. So within our business office, we've had some increased requirements, new things that are coming on that have impacted our ability just to get things done. So we split this position between the HR office and with the business office. So what we ended up doing there, a lot of this ends up being reconciliation, so this might be something like, when we get a bill from our healthcare benefits people, we've got to make sure that we're getting charged for the ones that we are, the ones that are taken off. We've got to make sure that those reconciliations are ending up taking place, so we're not paying for something that we're not supposed to be paying for. Additionally, there are things within the finance office that have been a struggle to get done over the course of time. One being regular bank reconciliations on a timely manner. This last year, we ended up we got behind. It took quite a while to end up getting caught up. We had to have some additional help there because Lisa was working on this after she had left, and so it got to be really a drawn out piece. So when when Lisa left, I asked her, what do we need to do in order to have the office function in a better manner where the business manager isn't having to work 60 hours a week? So she said, well, we really need somebody to do those reconciliations, et cetera. When Chris came on, I asked him kind of what his experience has been, and he kind of came to the same conclusion there. So that was where that was kind of the genesis of that.
Okay, and I know it was being done, somebody that a long time human resource person retired in 16 or 17, something like that. Do you know if it was being done since then? Can you find out down the road? Was it done in 1920
As far as the position,
reconciliation of the insurance part of it?
that I did not look back in the history.
Maybe sometime down the road, you have somebody in your office. I'd be curious as to, I'm curious if it actually was being taken care of prior to Lisa coming here.
I'll do
From, that span of 6-7 years.
So I'll check in on that. And then there's additional requirements that are coming up that go into play on January 1st. And Chris helped me with the acronym or the paid family medical leave. So with the paid family medical leave, we're gonna, again, that's something that ends up being new. We gotta see how that intersects with what we have within our contracts, and make sure that those are being applied correctly as well.
Just one more question, I guess. On the reconciliation of the healthcare bill, monthly bill. Is it the carrier providing with possible misinformation as to what employee may be actually paying for?
So what we've got to make sure of is when somebody resigns or they leave the district, we got to make sure that they're coming off
Right.
in a timely manner. We had one little kind of a hiccup this year when we were getting into the new health insurance quotes that we had. There was a concern that there was a number that was flipped around between two columns.
Okay.
Thankfully, that ended up being something that we were able to rectify without being a big headache. But benefits are enormously important to people, and being able to have somebody that they can, again, kind of be that additional person. Because Kelsey also, within those benefits, that's the one thing that really has not been done in a timely manner, and it's gonna end up being something that will probably be noted in the audit.
Yeah, and that should be caught monthly when some employee leaves on whatever day they're in the month.
Right.
They're probably entitled to healthcare benefits till the end of the month, and then it should come off the following month.
Yep.
So, okay. All right, I just hadn't seen anything about it when I called you today, and I gave them a heads up to let them know I was going to possibly bring it up. So, thank you.
And can I piggyback? I called as well because I called that was new to me. Do you want to maybe, as long as that's out there, talk about the other new position that was created and why?
So with that, a couple years ago, or a year and a half ago, when we ended up hiring Emily as the director of teaching and learning, she took all of the duties that she had in her prior position, in addition to all the duties that, as she's come on as director of teaching and learning, And through this process here, we're finding out that it's really, again, unsustainable to be able to get everything done. A lot of it ends up being, some of it's just manual stuff that ends up having to be done. So for example, she has to sit down and she's got to make sure that kids' information is loaded as they're taking these assessments. There's a big piece of some of that. There's more testing that happens now than there ever has been. So Emily, just as an example, I mean, so we've got fast bridge testing, we've got the
Fastbridge,
NCAAs.
MCAs, AP, PSAT, ACT, CAPT, bilingual seals. So with this position, with that as well, I can't get to buildings right now. Like, I can't. So what this position will do is they will become the district assessment coordinator. I will train that, but that will go back to being a different person, which it has been until the last 2 years. So, and then when Bob and I talked about ideal things, I was like, for sure that. But then when they're not doing that work, they're gonna be instructional coaching in all of our buildings, which we've talked about that we need that, with a specific focus on new teachers and retaining new teachers.
So it's a definite need. I mean, and it's always a concern anytime we're adding positions, especially when it looks like it's something at the administrative level. But at the same time, there's just stuff that we're just not able to get done in a timely manner. It has to get done.
So I got one comment. So is the proposed reconciliation coordinator for the district would serve just the district, or are there dedicated coordinators for each schools?
This is,
Wondering kind of
it's a district level, it's a district level position, so this oversees, or again, works with all of that. The primary duties will be under the director of finance and the director of human resources, yeah.
Thank you.
I'll make a motion to approve number 3 of the consent.
I'll second.
All right, motion by Ms. Deb, second by Ms. Bjornstad. Any further discussion? All right, Jim?
Aye.
Kayla?
Aye.
Therese?
Aye.
Rachel?
Aye.
Jennifer?
Aye.
Jeremy?
Aye.
And I will also vote aye. Agenda passes.
Just a question, please, Mr. Chair.
Yes, sir.
I think on new positions like this, I think instead of having a discussion like this, they should run through the finance committee with information, come to the board at one of the workshops. Be followed, please.
We did talk about this at the finance committee, I just didn't bring it. So
I understand.
Makes good sense.
Thank you.
Is that possible? There's enough time to do that? They're not,
Typically,
okay.
it could be brought up at the workshop if we just have it that day.
Thank you. All right, next up, donations and grants.
So with the donations, there were 3 this time. So of those, Danny, Joe, and Kristen Gray, they donated a treadmill to the weight room. Brandon Johnson House Wash, they came out and they cleaned the outside of the greenhouse. And if you've been by the greenhouse before, you can tell that it really needed to be cleaned. So thank you very much for doing that. And Don Featherstone donated $500 to the Twin Bluff pool expenses. So thank you for each of those donations.
Thank you.
I make the motion to approve the donation and thank them for their generosity.
I'll second.
All right, motion by Mr. Bryant, seconded by Ms. Tiff. And again, thank you. Jim?
Aye.
Gail?
Aye.
Jeremy?
Aye.
Therese?
Aye.
Rachel?
Aye.
Jennifer?
Aye.
I will also vote aye. Donation grant resolution passes. All right, finance update.
Okay, Director of Finance, Chris Music, is going to help us with this portion of it. So the, kind of the background here, we haven't got the final audit back yet, but we've got some preliminary numbers, and those preliminary numbers show that we are in a significantly better financial position than we had initially projected. So there's some reasons for that, and we want to at least touch base on that before before we end up with a full audit, the report from the auditor will show up in November.
So I'm just going to focus on the general fund and real high level, lots of rounding with these numbers, and they can change. Obviously, when the auditors get here, they'll go over the final numbers with you all. But starting with the revenue budget came in 4% better than what was budgeted. The primary factor with that was state special education aid, which is a very complex funding formula. Things can change where your students go, where they're served. If you serve them in-house, you could potentially get more aid. So overall, 4% positive movement in the general fund for our general fund revenues. Transitioning to our expenditure budget came in about 6% under budget. The primary driver of that is our salaries and wages, or our salaries and benefits came in just over about 6.5% under budget.
And those are primarily in the form of unfilled positions. So we had spots, we budgeted for them, and we did not, or were not able to fill them through the year.
Max exposure is how this budget was developed. So overall, looking at the general fund revenue and expenditures, we have 10% positive movement comparing our year-end actuals to our revised budget. Looking at a $40 million budget, that's about $4 million. What did that do for our unassigned fund balance? It increased our unassigned fund balance to just over 22%, up from just about 15% in fiscal year 24. So overall, a very positive year financially for the district.
With that, we do have some, I mean, this is very good. We talked about, we need to be closer with our projections as we're going forward to make sure that, we're utilizing the funds that we have in the best possible way. So we believe that at this point, we're in much better shape. I know that Lisa and I put a lot of work into this year's budget in order to trim that back down, make sure that we've got a much more realistic expectation. At the same time, I'm always going to be very conservative. I'm going to, as we're going through this. A thing that's going to impact us also here now is, right now, our enrollment is quite a bit better than we had projected last year. So I think in my superintendent comments, if I'm not mistaken, I got the updated numbers. So number 4, our current student enrollment last year, we finished at 2,251 students. As of Friday, our enrollment was 2,243. So we're down 8 kids. I had projected being down 8. So that ends up, that's going to be a pretty significant turnaround on our positive impact on the budget as well. Obviously, there's going to be some things that will be updated when we end up having our final budget. So we'll check all our revenue. So while I am not comfortable myself in having that big a gap over what our projection was, that I'm not comfortable with that. At the same time, if ever we were going to benefit from it, now's the time, because as we go forward across the state, I think we're going to see some real tight times coming forward, and being able to have some fund balance and cash flow things is going to be very, very beneficial. So again, while it's very good, it's one of those things we don't want to just go ahead and spend everything, but we do want to make sure that we're putting forth the best possible resources for all of our kids.
Thank you for the report. It's very positive. Better than the doom and gloom. Gloom is better than doom.
Absolutely.
And so these are technically pretty solid projections. They're not, until we get the audit, they're mainly projections. So
Correct.
we keep our fingers crossed, our eyes crossed, our toes crossed, all that. Hopefully we get to that. But yeah, that's very good news. So thank you. And the audit will be done in about another month? Okay. Thank you.
Question just about that increase in reserve we'll have or whatever. I'm just wondering, does the board or our finance committee play a role in, like, I know there were already 2 administrative positions created. do we have any ability, or are we engaged with what to do with that extra money? Or is that something that you designate where it goes, or I'm not sure how that
So
works.
for the most part, I mean, within that budget, I mean, you guys approve the budget, and then as far as the actual spending, that is our responsibility to do that. So a few pieces that we've already done, so last spring, we were going to be down, ELA position at Twin Bluff, which it looked like our numbers were going to support keeping that position, so we ended up keeping that position. Later on this summer, we were concerned about a fifth grade teaching position at Twin Bluff as well. So that was a position that also, like, we gotta get this taken care of, otherwise we're gonna, Patrick, what were our class sizes looking at?
33 in fifth grade if we didn't hire.
So the decision was made at that time to go ahead with that, and that was one of those things that honestly, I would have made that higher even if we did have a significant budget reduction. I mean, we can't have that many kids in the fifth grade class. So, right now, we're in the process. We know that we got some teachers that are going to be retiring at the end of the year. So we've had some conversations about what can we do to attract and start hiring on those positions as soon as we can. We can't officially post those positions until we have a letter of resignation because they can change their mind. But I've had some conversations with people, we've got a few positions that are open that we're still looking to hire at this point. So for example, we're down a high school math teacher at this point. We're still looking for, I think, special ed in the middle school. Sorry, Patrick. So we've got a number of different pieces that we're looking at. We've got some education assistants that we're looking to hire yet. So trying to fill those positions, but so that's at least part of it.
Is there a number you look at for fund balance, a percent in terms of, because I know we've tried to hold when we were making cuts.
Right.
Do you have a
Well,
number?
Right now, and without digging into this fully with Chris, but at least right now, I'm very, very optimistic that we're not gonna end up having to do any reductions in the spring. Okay, so that's kind of the first thing. So it's kind of stop the bleeding, okay, see where we end up. If we can maintain with our enrollment as we are, that's gonna be a big player going forward, because quite honestly, when I was building this budget last spring, I was not very optimistic based on historic trends on where we were gonna end up. Is this an outlier or is this a trend? It's 1 year. We're not gonna know that right away. So again, I'm always gonna be very, very cautious as we go through those budgetary pieces.
Jeremy, you got a question? Go ahead.
Yeah, when we first heard of this and anticipated surplus, it was good news, but it brought to mind, some of the hard decisions and discussions we had this April and May about, having to let some teachers go. And are we being overly conservative when we're considering, like our expenditure budgets as far as our staff? Like, what do we typically see for vacancies every year? As long as we're being, I'd say, realistic and not always like extreme worst case scenario, that information should be maybe a little more publicized. So when we need to make a decision about letting a teacher go, we can keep that in mind. And, seeing that now we have a 22% or potential 22% surplus in our general fund, that's a much bigger number than, the minimum 5% that we were talking about. So it's just something to keep in mind when we have to make those decisions in the spring. So in short, is this a number that we're not really going to be able to recognize until the fall, when you have the fall teachers hired?
We'll recognize this and have the audit presented and approved later on in November. But then as far as, we'll know what our fund balance is as we go into next spring. So then it's just gonna matter on what our projections are. So again, how many positions are we going to hire? How many positions, those are things. And again, the big driver on everything is always enrollment. So Enrollment, we take our best estimate, and then we have to adjust that once we have a little better idea, which we do at this point.
Also, just
So are
to,
you saying the sensitivity to the enrollment impacts the amount of teachers we have to hire? Is that kind of the equation you're looking at?
Well, when you look at your overall financial picture, yes, and I do think, now that this is my second year into this, I think I have a little better feel for, some of the things that I learned last year as far as when we were going into reductions. So I think that's gonna be beneficial coming around the second time.
All right, well, Chris, I appreciate the breakdown and the high-level summary. It's easy to grasp that versus looking at some of those spreadsheets too. So I appreciate that.
one comment I wanted to make was an unassigned fund balance of 22% is really close to the state average. Our policy of a minimum of 5% is when you start running into cash flow problems. So it's not a good place you want to operate. I would say once you start getting under 10%, you would want to start making adjustments. So it's a good spot to be currently financially.
Three things. Thank you. I think if we as a board look at that policy, 5%, you're right, 5% of 40 million is pretty low. Because you don't want to go in that statutory debt by the state.
Correct.
So between you and superintendent, we can come back there soon to a workshop, have a discussion as what we feel as a school district comfortable to have of course, a fund balance amount, percentage-wise. I think that's good. If it's 5%, whatever, I know it's always been higher than that. I think that's good to have that now. The other thing on the fund balance is it's very nice, but then people want it. If you give extra to people, that money just compounds down the road. So as a board and as a leadership, we have to understand, we want to be fair and consistent, but we also understand the long-term effect. Insurance is going up, we get that. Wages are going up, costs are going up, but we have to be realistic too, that we don't do kind of what the state has done with themselves with all the big debt, big fund balance, and now they're maybe short. And second, lastly, you talked about open positions. How do you, is it daily, weekly, are we out trying to find people, or just posting it and people are coming to us? Are we doing anything to get people to,
Yeah, I
Look
mean,
at us.
we've got pretty much everybody beating the bushes that we can.
okay,
Trying to recruit, and it's, again, it's teachers, it's education assistants, there's a lot of different positions that end up making that a little bit of a challenge.
do we call schools that have,
So-
positions that
So
they
like right
graduate?
now, so we got graduates that should be coming on board here now at Christmas time or second semester. So we've already started reaching out the possibility of making contact with some of those folks.
That's good, and I'm glad, because we just said, we're open, we have these open positions, but there was never any discussion about how we're doing other than
Well, here's
posting.
an example. So we have an ML teacher, so a multi-language learner teacher position that we got open for.
We opened it last October, closed it when we couldn't find applicants. It's a very, very rare license to have. And then have it opened, and so, yeah.
So if we've got it open, right now we have an applicant. We're cautiously optimistic that after a full year, we're gonna be able to fill that position. So
I figure you're doing something, but it'd be nice for us to know what's going on, so we can also ask people.
And Kelsey and I are going to for the mid-year graduates, because we'll have some things opening as well. We're heading to River Falls a week from Monday for their mid-year graduate teacher job fair.
Good.
So,
Good luck.
yeah,
So did you say 6.5% was budget for positions that can't be filled or that haven't been filled yet?
Correct.
So when you guys have a list, are they some of these positions that have been open for a long time that maybe, because again, like back to Jeremy's
Well,
comment, it
that's
was
why
very
we-
hard to cut teachers.
right.
So-
So that's why now, we've narrowed that down in order to be reflected in the preliminary budget that we approved back in June. So we've accounted for a chunk of that, because otherwise you're gonna end up with this big number that just keeps growing exponentially, and that's not healthy for anyone. So we've addressed a good number of those, and for the most part, we ended up with very few positions, or very few individuals that were actually not offered positions back into the district that ended up getting a letter last spring. So that also helped. I mean, very nerve wracking, and you don't like to put people through that stress and strain, you can avoid it. But at the same time, ultimately, we were able to retain most of those positions.
Can I ask, what have you been doing for the math teacher that we want to be able to hire for the students?
So right now, what's going on? So right now, pretty much the whole math program is on over. They graciously, they're doing that work, but at the same time, we're trying to get that position filled.
So some of the resources, that open position is helping offset some of the costs of the math teachers in the high school?
Yep.
So that whole position is being,
Being divvied up by everybody else.
and the cost, some of the costs are being borne by that open position. Thank you.
This is not a problem that's unique to Red Wing. This is statewide.
Yeah.
And there's teacher shortages and
Yep, and it's more pronounced with, special education is definitely an area that's always gonna be a need. But when you get to the math, the science, facts, any kind of IT classes, those are ones that are especially difficult. Even, I don't know about here, but I know in the past I had a very difficult time hiring band teachers, music teachers, because they end up in all my sessions.
Is our retention of those positions fairly good, or do we know?
I think it's not different than elsewhere. I mean, I think it's pretty consistent.
Chris, thank you so much.
Mhm.
And Chris,
Superintendent comments.
All right, so the first one, so I mentioned already, our enrollment is holding up. When I did the projections this fall, it was better than I expected, and that seems to be staying fairly consistent. So we talked a little bit about the 2 staffing positions that I had mentioned. Couple things that are coming down the pike here now, the impact of the federal government shutdown. So at this point, we haven't had any interruption of services. So I don't know how long this shutdown is gonna continue. I don't know that anybody has that in their crystal ball. But there's a few things here now that at some point, it's gonna hit a cliff. So I don't know for sure what's gonna happen with Head Start. So Head Start serves about 30 students out at Cobble, and that's a federal program. Head Start employees are not our employees. They are federal employees. They serve children in our building, but I don't know exactly what happens if and when all of a sudden the Head Start people end up going home because they're not being paid. Right now, I mean, like I said, we're in pretty good shape. Emily, you haven't seen anything yet where they've got, any funding is being.
No, nothing related to ESSA Consolidated at all, and that fall amendment opens on Monday.
Okay, so right now, pretty good, but eventually there's gonna end up being impacts. The other place that I really do think that it's gonna start hitting families is, some of the food benefits that families may be, taking advantage of. So you just gotta make sure that we're cognizant of that. So it's things like this, and like I say, when we get into the next biennium with the Minnesota legislature, having a reserve there is gonna be real important. There was a year, I don't remember which year it was, probably 15 years ago, where the state actually withheld money from the schools. So you ended up, you had to find a way to cash flow that. If you didn't have a fund balance, then you were looking for aid and anticipated borrowing. Well, back then, the interest rates were 2 or 3% instead of 6 to 8 that we experience now. So those costs end up really eating into things very quickly. So, and then finally, I got the following message from the Hiawatha Valley League. This came from the secretary. Hello, I'm excited to announce Red Wings' request for admission to the Hiawatha Valley League has been accepted on a unanimous 9-0 vote. Wingers will join the Hiawatha Valley League starting next fall, giving our conference 10 member schools. The addition of Red Wing promises to be a great fit for many athletic and fine arts opportunities our league has to offer. Welcome, Wingers. So it's Paul Hardman has been working on that for quite a little while here, so it's nice that we're going to be able to have that. And then I do have one more final item here. So I'd like to acknowledge the reported weapon threat to our schools that disrupted the entire community of Red Wing on Friday, October 10th. The situation was fluid and it was filled with uncertainty. The timing of the event also presented significant challenges as we had some students at school and others arriving. As a result, communications with parents were not as smooth as I would have liked. There are times when communications need to be sent quickly, but they also need to be very accurate. After the event, we were able to evaluate our response and communication and protocols, both internally and with the Red Wing Police Department. We identified both areas for improvement and aspects of our response that worked well. October 10th was a very stressful day for everybody involved. I'm thankful that kids are safe and that we can use this as an opportunity to improve going forward.
Well said.
Thank you.
I'll just add, with our workshop, we talked about this, but I don't know if it was recorded or people watch it, or people out there listening. I want to applaud our schools, the leaders of the school, the superintendent, the staff, all that put priority on safety that day. I mean, safety is one of our priorities, but that day, there was no way a child was going to get hurt after the word came. They took full diligence to secure those buildings and keep those kids safe. I applaud them for their action, and I thank them for putting that first. And let's hope nothing ever happens here, but we know that we have some great leaders in our building and people there that will do their best to keep all children safe.
Thank you. All right, any further discussion on superintendents?
I would just mention for the Hiawatha Valley League, Mr. Hartman was on the radio. Maybe I can send it to you, or you can look it up, but he did a great job answering questions and really talking about the whole situation. There are a couple teams that someone died in hockey, do not have the opportunity to play within the league because other schools in the league do not have those sports, but there are opportunities for those teams to continue to compete. And Mr. Hartman did a great job talking about that. Look that up, I can forward it to you.
Thank you, I know there was some
Yeah.
concern about that,
Yeah.
so, of the independent status of swimming, diving. So,
Thank you.
Yeah, I think something was in the Red Wing paper this weekend, and it was mentioned in the Red Wing paper too, that those students who are in sports that they don't have will still have a scheduled competition.
Yeah, they'll have every opportunity to compete. It's just a little different as far as the leagues. I think it'll be good.
All right, business items, transportation RFQ, we have someone who's joining us online.
Yeah, Tom Watson is, Tom, are you there?
Muted or?
Yeah, he's on your mic is muted.
You there, Tom?
There it is.
See him, but his mic is muted.
Is he muted? Tom, are you muted on your end or is that on our end?
So that I can remove someone else.
Yeah, Lisa would probably have to do that.
Tom, there should be a little, microphone with a slash across it down to your lower.
He might not be able to turn his mic on.
Oh, he needs to do it, Lisa said.
Okay, Tom, can you hear us, Tom? I see it moving, so,
Yeah.
um,
Touch the space bar on your computer. Hold that down and see if that helps.
so, okay, we're gonna proceed here, and I think we can kind of, so sorry, my apologies, Tom, we'll have to figure out how to do this a little better down the road. But for right now, so what we're doing here now is we are putting together a request for quotes for transportation for fiscal year 27 going forward. So there's a lot of pieces that are involved with this. So right now, when we're keeping everything on the table, we're looking at the possibility of a single tier system, so we don't end up with two-tier bus routes. Again, if we end up doing something like that, there's added costs that would be with that, but it's an option that we want to explore. This would be for all of our routes. Tom, did you get are you working now?
I hopefully did.
Hey, here you go. I saw that.
It even goes to show you that every now and then a chipmunk finds a nut.
So anyway, with this, it'd be for all of our regular ed routes, our special ed routes, our extracurricular, all of those different kinds of pieces. So Tom has put together some spreadsheets that we've been able to work with, as far as looking at kind of what our costs are now. He's provided quite a bit of detail for that. And what we're looking for here now is a motion to approve this request for quotes. And that's different from the request for proposals, and that this allows us to negotiate as we go through. And because of the complexity of this, we want to make sure we have every opportunity to do that. Other pieces that we may be looking at is like right now we have a third-party entity that does our routing. Are we going to be able to somehow fold that in with another bus company to maybe do that? Maybe we look at doing that internally. So there's a lot of options that are on the table. Tom has had a lot of experience working with this. So I told Tom I'd give him just a couple of minutes to add anything that he would like.
Let me just say a couple of things, and then, any questions folks have. I am as old as I look, probably, and I've been around this game a while. One of the things that has been happening, and it's happened to you in Red Wing, and that is your contractor has handsomely decided that they're worth a whole lot more money than if you were to do this yourselves with district employees. What we've done here is put together a legal notice. State law now allows contracts to go up to 10 years. Most of those are price agreements. The nature of a price agreement means that if you're going to extend it to 10 years, then you're going to have fixed prices. Most of these contractors aren't interested in doing that. They would like you to favor them for the next 10 years, and then you get to present their bill sometime after each year. That's not the way we should do that. Number two, with this particular outline, and I don't know, Bob, if you had provided them with a copy of everything, but we had a proposed calendar, and the target we're shooting for is the end of January would be to look at the possibility of a contract that would be ready either then or early part of February. The other thing that
Timeline at our workshop.
I'm sorry.
We did review that timeline at our workshop.
Okay, all right. The other thing that we could take a look at, obviously, would, as Bob indicated, you've got a third party who's engaged in providing various services. According to the data I've seen in their contract, that's basically almost $70,000 a year. I think it begs a couple of questions. One, my experience is to require the contractor that you select to have actually present to you routing information. They're going to be driving the routes, whoever that contractor is. And it stands to reason that they should be involved in doing some of the routing, providing some of the advice. The RFQ that we have rewritten is rewritten from the RFQ that you had 10 years ago, which has been underlying the first student agreement now for 10 years. I have a provision in there that I've shared with Bob that is that would be responsibilities of that selected contractor, and they would have to bring that material and proposals and routes and all that sort of thing each year early in August. And that gives the administration an opportunity to review those plans, review some of that routing. It also gives you an opportunity to basically look at and approve any of that routing as a district. In those cases, there may be some lesser need for a third-party router. Yeah.
So with this, like I said, with Tom, we will be going through, this is gonna be an extensive process, and his knowledge and background is gonna be very beneficial. So at this point, it would just be my recommendation that we approve a motion to call for the request for quotes for transportation for FY27.
And does the quote replace the proposal altogether, or is it an intermediate step to a proposal?
No, this is all gonna be new. So this is, if I follow.
Instead of we'll never have an RFP, we'll only have an RFQ.
Yes.
Okay, that's what it's okay.
Yes, sorry.
Just to be clear, the significant difference is simply an RFQ allows us to negotiate a proposal, whereas a proposal and a sealed bid, we cannot.
Motion to approve.
That's it.
All right, motion by Mr. Bryan, seconded by Ms. Schulberger. Jim?
Aye.
Jim?
Aye.
Jeremy?
Aye.
Therese?
Aye.
Rachel?
Aye.
Jennifer?
Aye.
And I will also vote aye. Resolution passes.
Mr. Watson.
I'll be in touch with you now, the next several days, and we'll get started on this whole process.
Thank you,
Right.
Tom.
Thank you very much. I look forward to working with you on this.
Mr. Watson,
Tom,
you
hold on 1 second.
you ever get confused with the professional golfer, Tom Watson?
I have actually.
You won the Open a couple times.
No, I had a guy actually try to take my briefcase one time and he thought it was his.
What's your handicap then?
I'm a terrible golfer.
Nice meeting you. Thank you for your time.
Thank you very much. That's
All right, take care.
All right, moving forward, first reading of policy 707, total revision.
So policy 707, with this, so we have certain students that end up needing care and treatment transportation, so they may need to be in a medical facility in which we are responsible for transporting them within a reasonable distance. So what we've done is through GCED, we are all GCED school districts are going to use the same criteria, which is within 60 miles of your district. So each district has this circle that goes around, and if we decide to change that radius to GCED, it would change for all of those districts. So it makes good sense. It also does a lot to protect the districts, both Red Wing and the rest of the GCE districts, in the event that a student does need transportation to one of these facilities.
I move to approve the first reading of policy 707.
I'll second.
All right, motion made by Ms. Armstead, seconded by Ms. Till. Therese?
Aye.
Rachel?
Aye.
Jennifer?
Aye.
Jim?
Aye.
Kayla?
Aye.
Jeremy?
Aye.
And I will also vote aye. Motion passes. All right, next up, second reading of policy 524.1 with the revision.
So with this was, again, we've talked about our artificial intelligence policy and how this is all going to end up integrating together. There are multiple policies that this tie into that refer back to. So in large part, the core of it is policy 524, which used to be called the Internet Acceptable Use Policy. Now it's become obviously more than that. But this policy is one of a number of steps that we're going to have to take in policy as we build this AI initiative that we're looking into. So it's my recommendation at this point that we approve the second reading.
I'll make a motion to approve the second reading of policy 524.1.
Second.
Motion by Ms. Schoenfelder, second by Mr. Bryant. Any discussion before the vote?
I have a quick question.
Yeah.
Did it include just data privacy in here, or is that in
Yes. Yeah, so that's all. So yes, how student information is utilized, we want to make sure that we're not feeding the model, if you will. That's kind of part of it. So yes,
So plagiarism and.
yes.
Jeremy, go ahead.
Yeah, are we going to be using the disciplinary policies defined in 524? Like maybe we should have some specific verbiage, like how are you going to define like an auditing process to see what the kids have been doing and what the enforcement readiness is for these.
So
Like,
the caution, the
are you
caution.
imposing the same policy from 524 on the 524.1?
Yeah, they should tie back to each other. The risk in putting in language that is too specific, particularly as it is engaged with student discipline, gets to be a real challenge. We want to make sure that we're consistent. We've got those kind of those guide rails in place, but it will revert back to 524 and then additional policies that can be anything from bullying and harassment policy to, just a number of them. So there's a lot of pieces that this ties back to.
Okay, I can look again. I just didn't see that it was clear that anything along those lines would be handled through the 524 policy, but I can look again.
All right. Any further discussion? All right, roll call vote. Mr. Bryant?
Aye.
Ms. Anderson?
Aye.
Mr. Koenig?
Aye.
Ms. Bjornstead?
Aye.
Ms. Schoenfelder?
Aye.
Ms. Sims? And I will also vote aye. Motion passes. All right, next up, upcoming meetings and future topics. I have the next workshop Monday, November 10th. And any future topics anyone would like to discuss with that?
I like Jim's idea about maybe looking at our policy about what we want to, if we want to revise what the fund balance is at some point and rewrite that, have a discussion on it.
What kind of our,
I don't know when it's up for review, but it sounds like maybe it would be a good time to look
Well, I
at it.
know that we
Talk
did.
about it.
We have 32 that are up for review.
Yeah, there's a bunch, but I do know that we did talk to it. It was, I believe it was in the 3-year cycle last spring. Only problem was. So, anyway, definitely look at it.
else? Jeremy, good?
Yes, sir.
All right. That looks like, nothing else. Do I have a motion for adjournment? All right, motion by Jim Bryant, seconded by Kayla Anderson. All those in favor of adjournment? Oh, I'm sorry. Therese?
Aye.
Rachel?
Aye.
Jennifer?
Aye.
Jim? Aye. Kayla?
Aye.
Jeremy?
Aye.
And I will also vote aye. Meeting adjourned.